I was on a flight back from San Francisco when I saw the email. My phone had just connected to Wi-Fi as we landed, and there it was in my inbox. Welcome to DataSphere Solutions, new partner agreement. My company. My business that I'd built from nothing over the past 6 years. And someone had just been added as a partner. I opened the email with shaking hands. The new partner listed was Jessica Martinez. My sister. My 28-year-old sister who'd never held a job for more than 18 months. Who knew nothing about tech consulting. Who'd once asked me if the cloud was an actual cloud in the sky. I immediately called my business attorney, David. Tell me this is a mistake. Tell me someone didn't just make my sister a partner in my company. Rebecca, I'm so sorry. Your parents came in yesterday with the corporate documents you'd given them for safekeeping. They had your signature authorization from when you set them up as emergency business contacts 3 years ago. They said you'd agreed to make Jessica a partner, but were too busy to handle the paperwork. I never agreed to that. I never even discussed it. I tried calling you, but you were in meetings all day. They seemed very confident you'd approved it. They had all the right documents, all the proper authorizations. Rebecca, this is legal. She's now a 30% partner. 30% of my company that I'd sacrificed everything to build. That was currently valued at $2.3 million. David, get her out. Now, file whatever paperwork is needed. This is fraud. It's not fraud if your parents had legitimate authorization, which they did. But we can contest it. It'll take weeks, maybe months. And it'll cost you. I hung up and immediately called my parents. Mom answered on the third ring. Rebecca, how was San Francisco? What did you do? My voice was dangerously calm. Oh, you saw the email. Isn't it wonderful? Jessica is so excited. She's been struggling so much to find her path, and we thought this would be perfect for her. A stable position in a successful company. You made her a partner in MY company without asking me. Well, you're always so busy, and Jessica needed this opportunity now. We didn't want her to miss out. And you're sisters. You should be working together anyway. Mom, do you have any idea what you've done? We've helped your sister. We've brought the family together. Jessica has already told all her friends she's a business owner now. She's so proud. She's not a business owner. She's a fraudulent partner in a company she knows nothing about. And I'm going to fix this. Don't be dramatic, Rebecca. This is good for everyone. Jessica needs purpose, and you need family involved in your business. It's perfect. I hung up and sat in the airport terminal, my mind racing. 30% partnership. 30% of my company that I'd built through sleepless nights, maxed credit cards, and 6 years of 16-hour days. Then I remembered something. Last week's meeting in San Francisco wasn't just any meeting. It was the final signing for the sale of DataSphere Solutions to Tech Venture Corporation for $2.8 million. The deal had closed on Friday. The money was already in escrow. My company didn't exist anymore. I'd sold it, and my parents had just made Jessica a partner in a business that was no longer mine. I started laughing. Right there in the terminal. People stared, but I didn't care. Jessica wanted to be a business owner? She was about to learn a very expensive lesson about reading the fine print. I didn't call them back. I didn't send angry texts. I just went home, unpacked, and waited. My lawyer had sent me the partnership documents my parents had filed. Everything was technically legal. They'd used the emergency authorization I'd given them years ago when I'd needed someone to handle business matters if I was ever incapacitated. I'd given them that power to protect my company. They'd used it to give 30% away to my sister. But here's what they didn't know. When you become a partner in a company, you also become responsible for that company's obligations, including any debts, liabilities, or contractual obligations that exist at the time of partnership. And I had a very interesting contractual obligation that had just activated. 2 days later, Mom called. Rebecca, your father and I are having a small celebration dinner for Jessica tomorrow night. To celebrate her new position. You should come. A celebration dinner? Yes. She's so excited. We're inviting some family friends, some of her friends. We want everyone to know she's a successful businesswoman now. Sure, Mom. I'll be there. Really? I thought you'd still be upset. Why would I be upset? Jessica's a partner now. She should celebrate. The dinner was at an upscale restaurant downtown. Jessica had clearly gone shopping. New designer dress, new shoes, new everything. She was holding court at the table, telling everyone about her company. It's so exciting, she gushed to our Aunt Carol. I'm finally doing something meaningful. Something prestigious. Rebecca and I are business partners now. I sat down next to Dad. Big night. We're very proud of her. And of you for being mature about this. Oh, I'm being very mature. Jessica stood up with a glass of champagne. I want to make a toast. To new beginnings, to family working together, and to DataSphere solutions. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too, smiling. After dinner, as people were saying goodbye, Jessica pulled me aside. I know you were upset at first, but I'm really going to prove myself. I've already been reading about the company online. I'm going to be such a good partner. I'm sure you will be. I mean, I don't know much about tech yet, but I'm a fast learner. And I have some great ideas for marketing. We should meet next week to discuss strategy. Actually, Jess, there's something we need to discuss. About the company. Great. I'm free Monday. We can have lunch and... No, we need to discuss it now. With Mom and Dad present. Her smile faltered. Is something wrong? I called our parents over. We need to talk. About DataSphere. Can't this wait? Mom asked. It's Jessica's celebration. No, it really can't. Because Jessica needs to know what she's partnered into. Jessica's eyes widened. What do you mean? When you became a partner 2 days ago, you became responsible for all existing company obligations, including contracts, debts, and business deals in progress. Okay, she said slowly. I'm glad you understand that, because there's a significant obligation you just inherited. Dad stepped forward. Rebecca, what are you talking about? I sold the company last week to Tech Venture Corporation for $2.8 million. The deal closed on Friday, one day before you made Jessica a partner. The color drained from Jessica's face. You sold it? I sold it. But here's the interesting part. Part of the sale agreement included a non-compete clause and a 2-year service obligation for all existing partners. What does that mean? Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. I pulled out my phone and opened the contract. It means that any partners in the company at the time of acquisition are bound by the sale terms. You, Jessica, are now obligated to work for Tech Venture Corp for 2 years. Full-time. In whatever capacity they assign you. If you breach that contract, you owe them $200,000 in penalties. The restaurant suddenly felt very quiet despite the other diners around us. That's impossible, Mom said. She just became a partner. She can't be held to a contract she didn't sign. But she can, because partnership means assuming all existing obligations. It's in the partnership agreement you signed on her behalf. Section 12, paragraph 3. Partner assumes all liabilities, debts, and contractual obligations existing at time of partnership activation. Dad grabbed the documents I handed him and started reading frantically. His face went gray. You did this on purpose, he said quietly. You knew we were making her a partner, and you didn't stop us. I was on a plane when you did it. By the time I landed and saw the email, it was already done. The partnership was legally filed. Jessica was already bound by the sale contract. But you could have told us you were selling. Mom's voice was rising. You could have warned us. I told you 6 months ago I was in acquisition talks. I mentioned it at Sunday dinner. 3 times. Nobody listened because you were all too busy talking about Jessica's latest job search. Jessica sat down heavily. So I have to work for this company? For 2 years. Doing what? Whatever they assign you. The acquiring company has the right to place partners in roles appropriate to their skills and experience. But I don't have skills. I don't know anything about tech consulting. Then I guess you'll learn. Just like I did. When I was building the company from nothing while you were bouncing from spa receptionist to boutique sales associate. This is insane. Jessica turned to our parents. Do something. Make her fix this. I can't fix it, Jess. You're legally bound. Unless. I paused. Unless what? Dad demanded. Unless you pay the penalty clause. $200,000. Then you can walk away from the obligation. $200,000? Mom looked like she might faint. Where is Jessica supposed to get that kind of money? The same place I got the money to start my business. Work for it. Save it. Or, actually fulfill the contract you're bound to. You're enjoying this, Jessica said, tears streaming down her face, ruining her expensive makeup. You're actually enjoying watching me suffer. I'm not enjoying it. I'm just not fixing it. There's a difference. You wanted to be a business owner? Congratulations. Welcome to the consequences of business decisions. We're your family. Mom grabbed my arm. You have to help her. Like you helped me? By making major decisions about my company without my input? By giving away 30% of my business to someone who doesn't even understand what the business does? That's different. It's not different. You made a choice. Jessica accepted partnership. These are the consequences. She can work for Tech Venture for 2 years, or she can pay the penalty. Those are her options. What about the money from the sale? Dad asked. She's a partner. She gets 30% of 2.8 million, right? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. That's the really interesting part. The sale was structured based on existing partnership percentages at the time of acquisition offer, not at closing. The offer was made 3 months ago when I was sole owner. Therefore, the 2.8 million is allocated based on ownership structure at that time. 100% to me. But she's a partner now. Jessica stood up, her chair scraping loudly. I own 30%. You own 30% of a company that no longer exists. What you actually own is 30% of the obligation to serve out the acquisition contract. 0% of the payout. The table was silent. Around us, other diners were starting to stare, but I didn't care. This had been building for years. Let me make sure I understand, Dad said slowly. Jessica is bound to work for 2 years at a company she knows nothing about, doing work she's not qualified for, and she gets none of the money from the sale? That's correct. Although Tech Venture will pay her a salary, whatever they deem appropriate for her skill level and position. I'm guessing entry-level administrative work. Maybe 40,000 a year. 35,000. Jessica's voice went shrill. I can't live on that. I did. When I was starting out. When I was building the business you just tried to claim. We didn't try to claim anything, Mom said weakly. We were trying to help Jessica find purpose. By stealing from me. Let's call it what it is, Mom. You used emergency authorization, meant for actual emergencies, to give away part of my company. Without asking. Without considering consequences. Because you thought I'd just accept it. So what now? Dad looked defeated. Jessica has to work at this company? Unless she pays the penalty. But yes, essentially. Tech Venture's HR department will be contacting her next week about her position. I suggest she dress professionally and try to make a good impression. Jessica was crying harder now. I can't do this. I can't work in tech. I'll fail. I'll be humiliated. Then don't fail. Learn. Grow. Show up every day and do your best. Like a job. You're being cruel, Mom said. This isn't like you. No, what's not like me is letting you walk all over me. What's not like me is standing up for myself instead of just accepting that Jessica gets whatever she wants regardless of who it hurts. She's your sister. And that company was my life's work. 6 years, Mom. 6 years of 80-hour weeks. 6 years of personal sacrifice. 6 years of building something from nothing. And you gave away 30% of it like it was a birthday present. We thought we were helping. You thought you were fixing Jessica's problems using my resources. Like always. Well, this time there are consequences. Real ones. Jessica stood up and ran to the bathroom. Mom followed. Dad and I sat there in the ruins of the celebration dinner. You really can't get her out of this? He asked quietly. I really can't. The contract is ironclad. Tech Venture's lawyers made sure of it. Every partner is bound. Even ones who became partners after the deal was signed, but before closing. That seems like a loophole. It's not a loophole. It's a protection against exactly this scenario. Someone trying to add partners at the last minute to claim part of the sale. Did you know we were going to do this? No. But once I saw what you'd done, I realized what it meant. I could have rushed to contest the partnership before closing. But I didn't. 3 months later, I was setting up my new business. A consulting firm that didn't violate my non-compete. When Jessica called. I almost didn't answer. What, Jess? Can we talk? In person. Why? Please. Just please. We met at a coffee shop near her new office. She looked different. More professional. Less polished. Like someone who was actually working for a living instead of floating through life. I've been at Tech Venture for 10 weeks now, she said, stirring her coffee nervously. How's that going? It's hard. Really hard. I'm in administrative support for the development team. I don't understand half of what they're talking about. I have to take online courses at night just to keep up with basic terminology. Welcome to the real world. I know you think I deserve this. And maybe I do. But I wanted you to know. I get it now. Get what? Why you were so angry. I've been working 60-hour weeks. I'm exhausted all the time. I barely have time for a social life. And I'm making $42,000 a year, which sounds okay until you factor in taxes and the student loan payments I've been ignoring for years that Tech Ventures HR made me address. Sounds like you're learning about real employment. I talked to my supervisor last week. He told me about you, about how you started DataSphere, how you worked from a studio apartment, eating ramen, coding until 3 a.m., how you cold-called clients for months before getting your first contract, how you almost went bankrupt twice in the first year. Who's your supervisor? Martin Chun. He said he was one of your first employees. Martin, good guy, brilliant developer. He'd stuck with me through the early days when I could barely pay him. What did he tell you? That you're the hardest working person he's ever met, that you earned every penny of that sale, and that if I'm going to make it at Tech Venture, I need to stop expecting things to be easy and start working like you did. Smart advice. Jessica looked down at her hands. Mom and Dad have barely spoken to you. I know. They think you should have protected me from this, that you should have stopped the partnership before closing. What do you think? She was quiet for a long moment. I think I tried to take something I didn't earn. I think Mom and Dad enabled me to do it. And I think you let me face the natural consequences of that choice. And how do you feel about that? Honestly, part of me is still angry. Part of me thinks you could have handled it differently. But part of me, the part that's been working 60-hour weeks and finally understanding what you went through, that part is grateful. Grateful? I'm 28 years old, and before this, the longest I'd held a job was 18 months. I bounced around, waiting for something perfect to fall into my lap. This job isn't perfect. It's hard and sometimes boring, and I'm the least qualified person in most rooms. But I'm learning, and I'm not quitting. Good for you, Jess. I know we can't be close right now, maybe not for a long time, but I wanted you to know I'm trying, really trying, to be someone who deserves what they have instead of someone who just expects it. After she left, I sat with my coffee for a long time. My phone buzzed. A text from Martin. Your sister is doing better than expected. Rough start, but she's putting in the work. Thought you'd want to know. I smiled. Real change was possible, but only when people were forced to do the work. 6 months after that, Mom called. Your father and I have been in therapy, talking about how we've parented you both, about the patterns we created. And we realize we failed you. We always expected you to be strong, to handle things, to never need help. While we rescued Jessica from every consequence, we created a dynamic where you were the responsible one, and she was the eternal child. Yes, you did. Can we try to fix this? All of us. Maybe. Eventually. But it's going to take time. And real change. Not just apologies. A year later, Jessica completed her 2-year obligation. Tech Venture offered her a permanent position. She accepted. I never thought I'd say this, she told me over coffee. But I actually like working here. I'm good at it. And I earned it. We weren't close. We might never be as close as we were before. But there was respect there now. The kind of respect that comes from both people standing on their own feet. My parents learned to ask before assuming. Jessica learned to work before expecting. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face their own consequences. The company I built was sold, but the lesson it taught my family was priceless.